At APS, we envision a world powered 100% by clean energy, and we are committed to doing our part to help small businesses across Arizona. The Going Green, Going Smart program is designed to arm you with tools to save money, save energy, and attract new customers to your small business. The COVID-19 pandemic has had unprecedented impacts to our economy and especially our small business community. And this program is designed to help you take your small business to the next level and come back even stronger. You will learn how to build a sustainability plan, create an energy audit checklist, as well as a green marketing plan through our on-demand training program. You'll earn the certificate in less than 60 minutes, and it's free of charge. So please be sure to visit greenbizaz.com for a list of resources and scheduled events.
Hello, and welcome to a new episode of the Going Green and Going Smart program expert sessions. My name is Edgar Olivo from the Compass CBS Foundation and your host for today's program. I'm so glad you are joining us today. As usual, we're going to have a great conversation about how small businesses make an impact in their local community and economy here in Arizona. The world's economy is going green, and many opportunities have opened up for sustainable entrepreneurs who want to be a part of the green revolution. A sustainable or green business is one that shows commitment to an environmentally sustainable future by striving to create a positive impact on natural resources and communities. In today's expert session, we will discuss how a small business can make a difference in their local communities for a healthier local economy in Arizona. Our great lineup of sustainability expert panelists come from diverse backgrounds, and they will share with you their insights and perspectives on how small businesses can drive positive change by prioritizing their community. They have some great tips prepared for us, so you don't want to miss that. If this is your first time tuning in, I'd like to give you a special welcome. These expert sessions are designed to help you expand your Going Green efforts and complement our on-demand certificate program. If you haven't explored the certificate course, I'll share more details at the end of today's session on how you can earn your free Going Green certificate. Our mission is to help small businesses across the state of Arizona save energy, save money, and attract business while conserving our natural resources by offering you this complimentary and online program. We know sustainability has reached a tipping point, and it is important to your customers and the planet we live in. This program will provide you with important skills to help you achieve your own goals and beyond. So let's get started. I'd like to start with a simple question for you. How does your small business help in your local community? Small businesses are a powerful force that helps drive many benefits for local communities. Have you taken a walk down your favorite downtown street or gone shopping in your favorite district recently? Do you go to your favorite small business because of their charm, their history, or their impact on you or the community? Now try to think of how your spending at local businesses contributed to the business owner's ability to positively impact their community. Our spending habits are an effective way to help create more economic health in a local community. Small businesses are the backbone of their local communities. More specifically, if you spend $100 at a local business, roughly $68 stays within your local economy. Small businesses provide character and individuality to a community. It is neighbors helping neighbors, friends helping friends. However, small businesses are more than that. They benefit their local communities in many concrete and quantifiable ways. I'd like to share with you 10 ways your small business creates positive impacts in your local community. It creates a unique community identity. Small local businesses, from shops to professional services, reflect the personality of a town. It creates greater community involvement. 52% of small business owners donate to charity, and of those that donate, 90% donate to local causes. It strengthens the economic health of the community. Bolstering sales of their friends and neighbors creates strong community bonds and keeps money in the community instead of sending it to corporate shareholders. It promotes environmental friendliness. Small business owners looking for a storefront can take advantage of older historic buildings that gives a sense of charm and uniqueness to their shop. It increases the local tax base. Local businesses pay local taxes, bolstering the city revenue available for improvements to roads, schools, and green area spaces. It creates local jobs. A city with a thriving small business environment encourages people to stay, making it economically feasible to do so. It encourages entrepreneurship and innovation. In towns where business regulations and tax credits are beneficial to small businesses, it's easier for those with drive and perseverance to succeed. It boosts innovation and healthy competition. Many small businesses start with a new approach to a common problem, whether by providing services to help others or in developing new products. It lowers maintenance and less need for city infrastructure. Local shops tend to require less maintenance from a city, as well as fewer public services. And then there's a diversity of products that are locally made. One benefit of local businesses is that their products tend to be locally made or selected to suit local tastes. These are just a few examples of how small businesses make an impact in their local communities. Now let's jump to our next segment and meet our expert panelists.
My name is Chris Espinosa. I'm a co-owner here at Champions Barbershop.
My name is Parker Villarreal. I'm a co-owner here at Champions Barbershop. The program was really good. Taught me a lot about going green and energy efficient, saving money with my business. So at Champions Barbershop, we converted all our light bulbs to LEDs. We changed our hand drying station to an actual dryer instead of using paper towels. And then we changed all our shampoo heads to save water.
Going green is important because it has numerous benefits. In general, it helps on the pollution. It saves our planet, and just the smallest things as using eco-friendly cleaning supplies that we do here. Small things like that can really make a big difference. I think every small business should look into going green. The programs, not only do you save money for your business, but you're helping the planet out, just better way of life, to say help our planet.
You can join the program by going to greenbizaz.com.
As you just learned, small businesses strengthen the local economy and are important for our communities for many reasons. For that, we have a great lineup of expert panelists from APS to discuss this and more. Make sure to grab your notes. We're going to have a great conversation. Our first guest is Charlene Saltz. She is the manager of ESG reporting and data analytics at Arizona Public Service. Prior to joining APS, Charlene spent time developing workshops for teachers integrating urban ecology studies into their classrooms, being a classroom and outdoor educator, and finding ways to make the world a little bit better than she found it. Welcome to the program, Charlene. Our next guest is Sibia Manzanarez. She is a Supplier Diversity Program Manager at Arizona Public Service. Sibia assists local and diverse small businesses by finding opportunities to help them grow. Her work directly impacts economic development efforts and creates healthy supply chains in Arizona. Welcome to the program, Sibia. Welcome to the program, Charlene and Sibia. Thank you so much for joining us. All right. So, we're learning about how small businesses can make an impact in their local community. And there are many, many, many ways that they are. And, having you here today as our expert panelist to share with us your insights and perspectives is really important. So let's start off with the one question that I ask every single panelist that joins us in these programs, which is, what does sustainability mean to you? And I'm just going to call you as I see you on my screen here. And so I'll start off with Charlene. Charlene, what does sustainability mean to you?
Edgar, thanks for having me here today. Sustainability means to me is a loaded question, I think, because it's such a complicated word. I think in short, it means leaving the world a little bit better than how you found it. But the reality is it's much more than that. Sustainability is complex because it's the idea of fulfilling the needs of our current generation without compromising the needs of our future generation. But at the same time, while you're not compromising, you're balancing economic growth, environmental care, and social well-being. And I would guarantee to say that there are multiple decisions you make every day that you're considering all three of those elements and how you can be more sustainable. So that's where it gets complex, but the simple version is leave the world a little bit better than you found it today.
I love that. That's a wonderful approach for business owners to consider. And Sibia, welcome to the program. I'd love to hear what your perspective is and what does sustainability mean to you?
Thank you, Edgar. Charlene brought up some great points on, sustainability. There's so many aspects of it. What I focus on is how we can work as a community, and especially with our business community, to make a difference. A lot of suppliers that I talk to might not have a sustainability program yet. And then when you start talking to them, you can we start to talk about what can they do. They could start to recycle. They can, and a lot of them are already doing things that are sustainable and they don't realize it. They just haven't really started to really track what they do and report it. And I would say it's a lot easier than you think to be sustainable. It just really makes sense. It could be as little as reusing boxes, recycling, things like that. And it's amazing because when I talk to suppliers, once they start doing it, they share what they're doing. and their business partners start to also mimic what they're doing. So I think it's really, if to me, sustainability, it's a community, and it's more of a community approach that, I think it's a lot easier to do together than by yourself.
That's right. That's right. I definitely have seen that as well, where one business owner will start and then you see another business owner kind of start replicating. And, in our office, we've definitely have embraced the idea of paperless. Paperless, if it could be done digitally, then that's something that we want to implement. So thank you for sharing that. That's really interesting. Let's jump right into the heart of the matter as well. How do small businesses help create a strong local economy? Going sustainable is connected to a strong local economy. And at the Going Green and Going Smart program, we want to teach businesses how to do that and get those, get those concepts in their business now to be more resilient for a better climate future. Charlene, how do small businesses help create a strong local economy?
Yeah, I was thinking about this question, Edgar, and I think that the key there is starting with thinking about your finances, right? And how do you keep your money within the community? Are you especially now in the remote world, you can hire people from Colorado or from even, I don't know, in Mexico or anywhere, but really trying to, especially in the remote world, right? Certainly not in your storefront, but from your storefront, hiring local community, right? Hiring the people who live in the community. And that goes I always thought of it as the people who work there, but it's like your accountants, your any other services that you're using, where you're banking, like all of those elements, thinking about where you're following your dollar and where that goes can really keep it within the economy. And that just helps our economy grow stronger, right? Because we're keeping it within Arizona. And then I think it goes beyond the financial also, because you're looking at your how do you contribute to the culture and pride in our state? And I was thinking about Arizona being a tourism, right, is a big part of our industry. And the idea that a local business, when you come to Arizona or I travel, I want to go to the local businesses. They're part of the culture. They're part of the environment here. And so I think that's another contribution to the local economy, is helping build our tourism industry, helping build Arizona to be a strong economic benefit for that. And I mean, I don't know how businesses place themselves, but I'm thinking the people who are moving here want to support local businesses. They're looking for that. They can go to the big boxes and chains at home. Certainly there's predictability in your Starbucks coffee, but if you're here, you're more than likely want to travel, go visit your local coffee shop to meet the culture, meet the people, have conversations, and learn about the place that you're traveling.
That's right. That's right. Definitely when I travel to a new city, I'm looking for that local coffee shop to try out, to see what the flavors are there. The restaurants, there's always that element that when we invite folks to our state, we're not saying we have the best McDonald's in town. We don't say that.
Right.
We definitely want to see our small businesses as a point of pride. Sibia, what are your perspectives on how a small business helps create a strong local economy?
Yeah. To Charlie's point, when a small business employs their local talent, that has even more of an economic impact in our communities. Also, a lot of business to business commerce. So when I work with a lot of our local diverse businesses, some of them might not know a local business, diverse business just like them, that does what they need. So I've also helped with a lot of that as well, which is very interesting because they also want to support other local and diverse businesses, but they just might not know, someone within the industry. So it's pretty interesting that, to be able to do that second tier, maybe that third tier, and sometimes it's harder to find those suppliers locally. But I would say that you just might not know about them. They might just not be, great advertising on their products and services. But believe me, they are out there. We have a lot of partners. We have a lot of strong local chambers. We have a lot of great third-party certification agencies that promote these suppliers. So I would say, for your business, reach out to your local chambers, reach out to your certification agencies, because they have a big list of great qualified suppliers that can help your business be even more sustainable and also more cost effective, because our local suppliers, they are experts and they will give you a great price. And I tell everyone in my company, they are very competitive and very flexible. It's very different to call a big corporate 1-800 customer service number versus you have the number of the owner of the company that can help resolve your issue.
Yeah, that's right. You make a great point. The local business is part of that supply chain, and it is a cycle to keep those businesses engaged and also trusting that they're going to provide you the service and that there is flexibility. That's wonderful. Definitely great points. Let's jump over to the next question. What I want to talk about now is what are some best practices you recommend? Now, Charlene, you are going to give us a great presentation right after this, but if there's anything other that you would like to recommend, what can a small business do to get engaged?
Yeah, so I have to go back and build on Sibia's point that she just made. And I think it's part of that best practices is thinking about your supply chain. Like you as a business owner have your own supply chain, and where are those supplies coming from? Like we were talking earlier about the local coffee shop. Like, so if you go and you attend and you're at that local coffee shop, but then you see that local coffee shop is using the Costco coffee that you always buy at your big box, like it sort of is not as ingenuous, right? And they're not supporting the local economy. And then certainly from a financial perspective, that you have to take that into account. Yeah. But really thinking about, or at least considering your local supply chain, which I think comes back to what are the best practices you can recommend. And I think to me, the best practice I can recommend is getting really clear on what your vision is and what your goals are. So I think like for a large company like APS, our vision is set in our promise, and we're stewards of Arizona and doing what's right for the people and prosperity of our state. And we're going to create a sustainable future for Arizona. Like that's huge, creating a sustainable future for Arizona. But in order to be able to do that, we break it down into very small goals and goals that are SMART. So going back into the SMART goals, if you haven't heard of SMART goals, they are specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time bound. I had to go through my cheat notes to make sure I got those all right. But that idea is, okay, we want to recycle. We touched on recycling. Well, where do you start? What should you recycle? Do you have to start with everything? Like that's a lot. That could be overwhelming. So thinking about, okay, what's our largest waste stream? Is our largest waste stream paper? We're a paper heavy business. Maybe we need to go paperless before we recycle. So really breaking it down into small steps and taking that journey slowly, one step at a time, and trying, instead of saying we're zero waste. It can take years to get to a zero waste company, but if you do it in small steps, it's much more attainable. And that way the best practice there is like slow steps along the way and build from there. And then secondly, I think and Sibia touched on it earlier too, was like, tell your story that you're doing those things, because you might inspire your other businesses, your friends, your coworkers, your employees who come here. So just tell the story. Our stories are so important, and make sure you're telling your story about some of the practices you implement, because you never know how that's going to spark either your employees, your customers, or your other suppliers. So those are the two I would have as best practices.
Those are some great examples. It's the how do you eat an elephant,
right,
piece by piece, and taking on a leadership role as a company to be able to put out something like the APS Promise, is an inspiring action. And so hopefully other small businesses can also learn from those steps. And Sibia, what are some of the best practices that you recommend as well?
Yeah, I mean, Charlene touched on some really great practices that our businesses can start with. I would say to involve your team, because as an owner, you might have certain ideas about what sustainability is. I would say once you involve your team, you're going to see some people that are very passionate, about this topic. So, and they might have some really great ideas, maybe great partners that you can reach out to. You can start doing little things. And to Charlene's point on motivating others to tell your story, a local supplier, for example, they reuse their boxes. If they're able to reuse the boxes, when they package and send their packages, they will reuse the box, and they will actually put a little sticker on it saying that this is a reused box, and asking them to also either recycle or reuse that box yet again. And that's something very small, but again, it accomplishes several things. It tells the story. It also is asking them to pay it forward. So I think taking, again, more of a community approach, work with it as a team. It could be overwhelming to start, but it really isn't. Once you start looking at your process, what you do, maybe what your biggest impact currently is, talk to your team and ask them for ideas. I mean, it can start as simple as, putting a big box out there, and everybody can put their, plastic bags. We have a supplier, they have a big box, and all the businesses around their area will come drop off their own bags there.
Yeah.
So it's little efforts like that really can go a long way for your community.
Yeah, that's great. Excellent point on bringing in your team. You don't have to do it alone if you're a small business owner. And in fact, I think, Charlene, we kind of alluded to this on our planning meetings for this conversation, that ESG is a great attractor of talent, right? That having these sustainability practices in your business will actually attract talent, employees who are interested in also participating and helping the environment. I knew of a dentist office who put out a box right in front of their lobby to recycle old toothbrushes. These are plastic that ends up in the landfill. And so they were collecting it to be able to recycle and make more toothbrushes. And so there are many, many ways to get your business involved. And I appreciate all of these great, great tips. Let's go on to another question. What resources are available for small business owners? In this program, we talk about the Going Green and Going Smart certificate. It's an online certificate you can get completely free on your own from anywhere. But what other resources are available to help a small business who's thinking about making a bigger impact in their community? Let's start with Charlene.
Yeah, and I'm going to defer to Sibia, because I would say, go talk to Sibia. But I will tell you if it is not something Sibia can offer, and there's a lot of resources Sibia is going to offer. But I think back to my husband starting a small business, and he didn't know what to do. And so he joined local networking groups. And so this is starting from the fresh, right? And he joined local networking groups, and it was amazing how those groups wanted to help him. And they were business owners who were doing his field was gardening. So, they were business owners who wanted to do the same thing, and helping him understand, well, what's the need in the gardening community? Where should I be focusing? Like, this is an area, this is a hobby that I want to turn into a business. So that local networking really helped him establish himself as a business owner and figuring out what his niche was and where he should go. So I think that these days there's tons of Facebook groups, local groups, and then the other one, and Sibia will probably mention it, is Local First is another really good resource. I know for myself, when I'm looking for a local business for something specific, that's where I'll go first to look for, hey, are they listed on Local First, and do they have something available? But they also offer a lot of business-to-business programs and ways to help out. So And lastly, I'd say talk to business owners.
Yeah.
Like, we just talked to people who weren't even doing gardening. He'd be like, why are you asking them that, Charlene? Stop asking. But then I talked to them, like, what's your tip? What should you, what advice do you have? And so just being open and talking to people, I think, is a big part of not a formal resource, but more of an informal resource. But I'm going to turn it over to Sibia for the full-on formal resources.
Yeah, that's great. I appreciate that. Sibia, what do you have in mind?
Thank you. I mean, there are so many resources, and for every step of where your business is, actually. So, for example, at APS, we have the Diverse Supplier Training Program online. So a supplier who wants to learn how to do business with APS can log on, it's self-paced, and you can go through from everything. How do I register? If I'm, for example, a construction supplier, what requirements do I have to complete? So I would definitely promote that for APS. It's a great program. And there also, our local chambers will have programming. For example, the Hispanic Chamber has a local program called Dreambuilder. So these are for new entrepreneurs that are starting their businesses, and it takes them from, building their business plan, from, what is their marketing plan, how to do a presentation. So I participate in that program, and I do, how to respond to a request for proposal. So those are things that some businesses might need in the beginning, and versus a business that might be a little more well established. Other chambers, certification agencies will have programming for that supplier. So I would say for your business, I would say reach out to your local chambers, certification agencies, because they will have that programming. You'll be amazed at how much programming there is and resources. And even at APS, we have the Prospector site. This is a site that a business can go in and do marketing research, free marketing research. For example, if I'm a business that wants to do business in Towson, I can search Towson. It gives me the population. It gives me everything on what I really need. So you'd be surprised how much free resources are out there. You just need to find them. And also by talking to your fellow business owners, they will, believe me, they will share those local resources with you. So I would say, like Charlene had mentioned, just talking and networking around, and go to events. I know a lot of events, we've been a little iffy with events, but I think those are starting up again because, as a business, you need to get out there and meet others. And it could be virtually. It doesn't have to be, in person. A lot more people are just more comfortable doing it that way, but you still need to get out there. I think working in the business versus on the business are two things that we talk about. And I think just getting out there to be able to find out about those resources is very important. But reach out to, those local chambers, certification agencies, any of those supplier development groups will have those resources for you.
Absolutely. Those are great resources. I, as a small business owner, have participated in just about all the resources that you've mentioned. It's a really good time to start a business in Arizona because there is a garden of resources out there, and one can point you in the other direction, and it's really good to go out and explore. Thank you for sharing all of that. And now another question I'd love to ask is, well, in a couple of sentences, how can a small business get started? What would you tell them, Charlene, if you had a small business owner in front of you? How can they get started?
Yeah, it's funny. This is advice that, gosh, it's like 20 plus years old. A friend of mine was telling me, and she was an entrepreneurial spirit. And the biggest piece was getting really clear on what your service is that you want to provide and who your target audience is. You can't, if you're going to open a store and try to do everything, or open a business and try to do everything, it's not helpful, right? Because you're not focused on that small category of really getting clear on what is the function of your business. And I think that's the place to get started. And then from there, it blossoms, right? It's like that garden. You can, those resources come. And I remember a friend of mine starting a business, and her focus was on mompreneurs. And I was like, mompreneurs, like moms who want to be entrepreneurs, like that's a focus audience and they need help. Sure enough, yes,
Yep.
they do. Like it was, but I think her business was successful was because she focused on moms that wanted to be entrepreneurs, and that was her only focus. And moms who that was allowed her business to blossom. And so I think that's the key for a business in getting started. And through that too, and tying it back to that sustainability piece, if your part of your vision is a sustainable business, right? Taking that into account of, well, are moms who entrepreneurs sustainable? Yes, there's always going to be moms and there's always entrepreneurs. So it's this thing that you can grow and grow with them. So I think that would be my advice on how a small business can get started, is get very clear.
That's great. That is definitely resilient advice to make sure they're successful. And Sibia, how would you advise a small business owner to get started?
I would definitely advise a business on what are they passionate about? What are they really, really great at doing? Because I've talked to a lot of businesses and they really want to be helpful. They want to be able to do everything. And like Charlene says, that's just, you can't do it all. So I would say focus on what you can do best and be ready with resources on, you know what, we don't do that, but I know a great supplier that can help you with that. I think also being a resource, I think is great to get started. And also think about what really is going to make your business profitable, because sometimes you might have a couple of products or business or lines of business that are just not profitable, and just really finding out and getting to the detail and like, you know what, we are not going to do this because of X and Y. We can't do that because it's just taking too much time. It's not bringing in the profit. So I would say as you get started, you're definitely going to see what kind of pops up and what are your pain points. And usually those items that are not very profitable are going to be your pain points. And as you get started, then, looking at sustainability and how you can incorporate that and seeing, are we passionate about that? How can we get started? And asking others what they do, I think is just the best way to really get started in your sustainability journey.
Excellent. I love it. Get clear about what you want to do. Find out what you're passionate about. Get rid of the bottlenecks and stick to what works. I love it. All right. Any final remarks, Charlene? This has been a great conversation. Thank you for all of your insights. Any final remarks?
No, I think Edgar, you summed it up in our conversation, right? Is get really clear, get really passionate, and share that passion, and use your mistakes, because I don't even want to call them mistakes, as learning opportunities to grow from. And maybe that small business piece of your business isn't causing profit, but it's creating a lot of joy for you, and that provides you joy, then maybe it's okay to keep it, right? Because what's the driver behind your decision making there? So I think that gets back to that passionate and getting clear on what you want from your business, from what you're doing and what you do every day. And remember that every day is a new day, right? Like today might not be the best day, everything went wrong. Tomorrow will be a new day, and keep moving forward.
That's excellent. We're going to hear from you more in just a minute. But Sibia, any final remarks?
Yeah, I would say to ask for help, because there are a lot of resources out there, and there are a lot of other businesses that have gone through the same exact thing that you're going through. So why not reach out and get some tips, some great practices from others that have gone through what you're going through. And again, reiterating resources, they are available out there. And there are a lot of organizations, local organizations, that truly want to make you successful, to help. So I would say reach out, I think, right away, because believe me, there is a template for just about everything.
Yeah, that's right.
No need to recreate the wheel.
No need to recreate the wheel. I love it. Well, I really appreciate your participation in today's program. Thank you so much for joining us. I hope to see you back again soon. Special thanks to our expert panel for a great discussion. We hope to have you back again soon. I hope you were taking notes at home or work. If not, don't worry. You can find this recorded segment on our website at greenbizaz.com. And while you are there, make sure to stay tuned for our next expert session. We have the calendar posted on our website. Okay, now let's switch gears for a special presentation by Charlene Saltz, who will expand on what we started discussing in today's program. Charlene, thank you so much for participating in today's panel. I cannot wait to hear more about what you have to present. You were you were our first guest presenter of the Going Green expert sessions. And so it's going to be really nice to learn about all the new trends that you want to share with us, and really take this concept of making an impact in our local community even further. So Charlene, the stage is all yours.
Thanks, Edgar. So great to be here today. And it was fun to participate in the panel with Sibia. And I think a lot of great information came from that. And so hopefully I'll continue on that theme here today. So today we're going to talk a little bit about how small businesses make an impact in their local community. And there's so many different ways that a business can impact their local community. So I'm excited to talk about this today and share, as Edgar said, some trends with you that have changed maybe a little and some not so much since the last time I was here. So moving on in 2000, so I was here 2020, right? It was the height of COVID and social issues were on fire. Everywhere you looked, there was some kind of social issue to deal with. And as I was putting together my thoughts for today, I was looking back at 2021, and man, we're still dealing with social issues, right? We had a lot, I won't even go into the issues on the slide, but the slide represents the fact that we had politics going on, right? We had a new president, we had the insurrection at the Capitol, supply chain issues. We had the COVID-19 vaccine, COP26 happened. We've had the still going on issues with George Floyd. There is a never-ending issues of social issues. And these issues, if you're not careful, can impact your business. You have to really think hard about these social issues because people's and business social values are under a new lens. With all that's happening in the world, people are paying attention to what your business supports from a social perspective. And this is where there has been more and more of an emphasis on the social responsibility of an organization. It used to be we looked at, and from an APS perspective, our investors look at what we call ESG. So it's the environment, social, and governance. It used to be all about the environment. And these days, ever since COVID, it is more and more about the social. Our investors want to know about the social elements of our organization. So I looked recently at a study from PwC, which is a business research organization, and they just released a study that they conducted around ESG. And what I find is so interesting is that there is now a push from both your employees and your customers for what they want in terms of ES&G from their businesses that they support or the businesses they invest in. Look at that, 80% of consumers are interested and are more likely to buy from a company that has responsible environmental practices. And it's close to 80% across the board, almost for social and governance. And then you look at it, your employees, and you're getting closer to 90% in that governance space for your employees. So your employees and your customers are very concerned and very aware of the actions you're taking in both in the environmental, the social, and governance space. What I think is also really interesting is that you and in this case, it was looking at corporations, so it's executives. So it might be from a small business executives or the business owner might be doing things like here that they are affecting the climate change, and the actions they're taking was 65%. They felt their company was doing the right thing, but yet their consumers were only at 42%. So there's a disconnect. And my gut in that is that these executives or owners of businesses are not telling their story. If you're taking action for a very specific reason, you want to be able to tell your story. And thinking about what I thought was interesting in these spaces, and you see a couple of them here for both employees and customers, their top interests and concerns were climate change, workplace safety, access to healthcare, and diversity and inclusion. So if you're taking actions for climate change, creating a safer workplace for your employees and your customers, providing access to healthcare, and taking time to make sure your business is supporting diversity within your workplace and diversity amongst your suppliers, tell that story. Make sure folks know where you stand on those issues. And we'll talk a little bit now about actual examples of that. But first, I want to start, before I go into the examples, is what is social responsibility? Because we're going to focus more on the social side today. As I said, that's starting to take more of a front seat. And social responsibility, man, that is just as I talked about in the panel, sustainability is a loaded word. Social responsibility is a loaded word too. You can see, though, that there are a couple themes that resonate here in social responsibility. And it can mean a lot of different things to businesses. That it depends upon where they fall in society. And ultimately, it's your greater impact on broader society. And are you taking responsibility for the society in which you live as a business? Because as a business, you by 100% impact the world around you and that social world. As I said, social responsibility can mean a lot of different things to a lot of different people. And as you see here, I went out and I looked at different definitions for social responsibility, and I came up with a couple themes from this word. And these themes are: one, developing a shared value with your customers. It's important to understand what the value is of your consumers, but even more so, what are your own values? And are you aligned with your values with your customers and your employees? Focusing on good intentions and actions. When you go into a business and you see a can out for a local school drive, or maybe they're donating 1% that day to animals' rights or a local organization, you're sharing the message that you have good intentions and you have actions that you want to support the community. You can also be socially responsible and profitable. They are not mutually exclusive. There is a way to do both. It's important to both consumers and companies that companies are socially responsible, and programs are also a great way to raise morale with your employees. Employees can gather around, hey, we want to reach a dollar amount or a certain percentage to give away, to give to a cause, and it could be a cause that they believe in. Get your employees involved in thinking about who and how you want to be a social responsible company. And so today I'm going to share a couple examples, and I think I actually going to share with you similar examples I shared in the past, but they're such good ones that I didn't change them. And what I love is that I did this during the pandemic, and all of these businesses are still in business today. So it goes to show that being a social company does not have to be at the cost of profit. So one that I think about is my local soap shop, and my local soap shop is Strawberry Hedgehog. It's run by a woman who's very passionate about toxin-free and vegan beauty products, comes from her own passion and her own experience with those types of products and need for those products. But she's a small business, and yet she still donates to organizations. And granted, now this is from 2018, but from following her on Instagram, I know she continues to give back to the community through donations in her soap shop, and she'll have special events where she will give a certain percentage back to the community, as well as gives back to planting trees. So she's very clear. She tells it on Instagram. She has events to support community community charities and community events. And then she also shares it on her website. So she's doing it in all three places to tell her story. There's the other company that I talked about that I think is a really good story is the Fair Trade Coffee. And Fair Trade Coffee, Edgar has an interview and a video with her because she went on to do the Going Green course. But I think it's still worth talking about that business is so strong because their name says it all. They're using Fair Trade Coffee. But then she also is very passionate about fair wages and ban the box legislation. She went out of her way and is important to her to hire women leaving the prison system. So she's looking for ways to integrate and think broader than just the environmental impact of her coffee. And I shouldn't say just, because that's an important part of making sure her supply chain is sustainable. Another one that is not is Goodman's Furniture. Goodman's Furniture, who would think I need office furniture? And nowadays we need office furniture at home and in the workplace. But I need office furniture, and I want it to come from a company that does good in the world and is sourcing their materials sustainably. So Goodman's is a really great example of that. They started the first green showroom back in 2005. And once you go on their website and take a look, they are also very rooted in their community. They highlight programs that give back to the community, and they have a very strong program that engages their employees in thinking about where to give back in the community. And then lastly, this is a new one I added, and it's one that is slightly older, but is still around. And this is One Community. It's a coalition for socially responsible businesses, organizations, and individuals moving diversity, inclusion, and equality for all Arizonans forward. And this got started in around 2014. It was with signing a unity pledge. In 2014, there was a Senate Bill 1062 that essentially was an anti-gay bill. anti-gay bill that was still around today, and they encouraged businesses who were open to diversity and non-discriminatory in their practices to sign a unity pledge and put this up. And now I still see these signs in businesses, and it's like I know that if I'm going into this business, they're not discriminating against me or anybody else that can come to their store. That tells me a lot about the business and what they are doing for socially responsibility. And diversity is important to me, and I'm seeing that diversity is important to them. This encourages me to buy at that store and to be a continued consumer at that store. And so, as I said in the panel, you really have to start small, but you have to think about your big vision. So I'm going to just leave you with a couple questions to ask yourself as you start down this path of social responsibility, or maybe you're continuing down the path of social responsibility. But what is your shared value with your customers? What is it that you value that you think your customers also value? And I said there were those topics that were the top ones, right? It was like climate change, diversity, healthcare, safety. Think about those. Those are the top values for our customers. Consumers, do you have those values? And is that something you want to share with your customers? Secondly, what is the story you want to tell? Your business, your storefront, your business card, your website, your social media, they're all telling your story. That is part of the story that's being created. What's the story you want to tell? And be very intentional about it and keep to that story. Be on brand with that story wherever you may be and in whatever that you do. And then I would also encourage you to think about, how do you measure what you're doing? It's great to do and tell that story, but I would say the next step in that is making sure you measure it to show success. Tell your story about what you're measuring, what you do every year, whether that's how much you recycle. And most likely, if you have a vendor picking up recycle, they'll tell you what you do, how much you donate to profit, not donating to profit, donate to nonprofits. But how are you measuring being a socially responsible customer? Socially responsible business? And then lastly, how will you share it with your customers? And that goes back to storytelling, but part of that storytelling is that in sharing it with your customers, is it just going to be on your signage? Is it commercials? Is it social media? Where and how are you going to share your story? All of these are important for your customers, and as we talked about in the panel, it's important to kind of change that customer to maybe thinking about your employees. Where is that shared value with your employees? How do you want your employees to tell that story? And how can your employees be empowered to measure your actions? And then how will you share the story with your current employees and future employees? Because going back to that PwC research, employees, this is important to them. This helps them stay at a business. If they believe and have shared values with a business, they're going to be long life employees versus dealing with some of the turnover rates that we have today with employees. So I appreciate your time today, and hopefully these questions and the topics we talked about today will help you think about little steps that you can take in your big journey to be a socially responsible company.
That was fantastic, Charlene. Thank you so much for that great presentation. You got me thinking about all these other businesses that are also doing really good work in the community. And it does take a village. That saying, that phrase, takes a village. To be a more sustainable, cleaner future in Arizona, it really requires all of us to do a little something, something to help someone else. And I think you touched on the ESG component, which is people, profit, planet. And making sure that business owners can consider that as part of their business model. I really appreciate your presentation. Do you have any final remarks that you'd like to share with us?
No, it goes back to Edgar. I think it's like, keep it simple. Don't make this hard. Don't make it hard on yourself. Don't make it hard on anybody else. Keep it simple, start small, and continue to grow.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you, Charlene, for your great presentation. I hope to have you back again soon. If you want to take what you learned here to the next level, I invite you to check out our website at greenbizaz.com to learn how you can earn your free Going Green and Going Smart certificate. Our complimentary certificate can be completed in less than 60 minutes, and you can learn at your own pace. Our program will teach you how to build a sustainability plan, conduct your own energy audit, create a green marketing plan to help you attract business, and connect with fellow small business owners who care about our natural resources and our online community. This program is designed to help you find ways to implement affordable strategies for energy efficiency, discover smart energy devices, conserve water, reduce your waste, and connect to a community of resources. Start your transformation with us and earn your free Going Green and Going Smart certificate at no cost to you by visiting greenbizaz.com. Help us spread the word with your business colleagues by sharing our website and follow the conversation using the hashtag GreenBizAZ. Thank you once again for watching our Going Green and Going Smart expert session on how small businesses make an impact in their local community and economy here in Arizona. We hope you found this program valuable, and we look forward to hanging out with you again soon. I'll see you next time.
Hello, my name is Emma Linehan, Senior Business Relations Manager with the Arizona Small Business Association. On behalf of all of us at ASBA, welcome to the Going Green and Going Smart program. At ASBA, we're committed to driving a better environment for all of us to do business by ensuring our small business community has the tools, resources, and competitive intelligence needed to recover and thrive. With the Going Green and Going Smart program, small businesses will have the opportunity to save money, save energy, and then use that savings to continue to grow their customer base. At no cost, you can transform your business by learning how sustainable practices can put money back in your pocket and differentiate you within a competitive market. ASBA proudly supports the initiatives of the Going Green and Going Smart program and encourages our small business community to take advantage of the education and money-saving benefits by visiting greenbizaz.com.